I really didn't want to make this video, but over the past couple of days I felt it was my duty to do so. I've been creating Saints Row content for 11 years, and never once have I made a video regarding drama within the community. But it's time to put my foot down and address the things that are going on in this community, and specifically call out the community manager. Deadly Steph is the individual that was appointed the position of Volition community manager after Mike Watson stepped down. Deep Silver oversees Volition, so she took over when they had no one else to fill the position. Plus she was already Deep Silver's community manager. To give a bit of context about this person, back in 2019 when the current CM Mike Watson was on a vacation for a week, she took over and tweeted praise Genki just 4 days prior to that year's E3, which sent Saints Row fans into a frenzy speculating the new game would be shown off at the event. Obviously that wasn't the case, and it led to nothing, but it was kind of funny seeing the confusion that was caused by this tweet. Oh well, we're all humans, and mishaps happen. I'm sure when she takes over full-time, there will be no more controversies. Fast forward to 2021, when a fan offers some constructive criticism following the disastrous reveal of the reboot and says, I know you won't listen, but if you want fans to stop complaining and giving y'all shit, maybe, just maybe, replace these clowns and give us real saints. Doesn't have to be the old crew, just real gangsters. That would honestly clear up a lot of hate you guys are getting. To which Deadly Steph responds with, haters gonna hate. Nice. Okay, let's fast forward to the present day. It was made public knowledge that the CEO of Embracer Group, which owns Deep Silver, stated that he was disappointed by the very polarizing response to the reboot. So I put out a tweet stating the following. I mean, he couldn't have possibly thought that Saints Row was gonna get positive reviews leading up to the game's release, right? And I genuinely meant that. Just read the thousands and thousands of comments, Twitter posts, Reddit posts, Discord chats leading up to the game's release, and you'd very quickly realize people were already very disappointed in the direction this game was headed prior to launch. Deadly Steph, the community manager, decided to respond to my tweet. I don't know where you got your like to dislike numbers from, but they aren't accurate. Peace sign. Well, first off, I used the bring back dislike extension from Google Chrome. Some people claim that it's not accurate though, so we'll get back to that shortly. I responded with the following. Are these numbers accurate? Showing off the hundreds and hundreds of terrible reviews on Metacritic about the game. Deadly Steph responds with LOL. Probably not, because there is clear review bombing. You don't have to buy the game to leave a review on Metacritic. Clear review bombing? Just take a look at the comments on any Saints Row reboot video and you'll see this isn't a case of people just randomly review bombing. RIP Saints Row, the only franchise to die twice. Who's back after the game release just to see just how right we were about this game being a dumpster fire? How could Volition, after all these years with so many insights from the fans, fail yet again at a proper take on Saints Row? They already had a perfect formula from 2 and could have capitalized on it for their comeback to the series, but no, they chose to go the complete opposite route of what made the series great to begin with. This game is going to be a failure and will be the downfall of Volition. One user responds with, I've never seen anyone review bomb something that was actually good. They usually review bomb something pretty bad. Steph responds with, people review bombed Metro games when Exodus went Epic exclusive. People like to protest / troll through it, but it's not an accurate representation of what people actually think. If you look, a lot of it is zero woke trash. So yeah, not accurate. I'm sorry, but what? How about you check the dozens of actual reviews with legitimate criticisms on YouTube with millions of views?
Not bad at all.
Very bad. Extremely bad. Let me stress, bad. Saints Row, bad. Not, what do you mean, not bad at all? No. All bad. Yes.
Gotta wipe my hands with that filth.
Again, there are thousands of people giving actual criticism since the very reveal of the game, but nope, according to the community manager, people just like to troll. After that outrageous reply, I had to respond once again. I'm happy for you and the team if the sales are doing as well as you claim. It doesn't change the fact that the general public hates the game, and if you can't see that, you're either delusional or coping. By the way, there are plenty of actual reviews on the game, just do your research. Saints Saints Row legend himself, Flippy, even got involved, saying, "LOL, you're talking with a salesperson of the game. The CEO of Kevin Thirst at that. If they're trying to pull out the sales numbers as any indication that this game is good, then they're literally just shilling the game. Awful games can still make a profit. Good for them." So Deadly Steph responds with, "I'm trying to stop you all from peddling whatever drama you want using falsehoods. If it was a huge disaster, I would have ignored the post. But it's not. I have seen so many lies about this game over the past year that I'm just debunking." So Steph is trying to debunk these falsehoods. So when she is asked to show the real numbers, since the extension is obviously so wrong according to her, what does she do? She doesn't do a damn thing. No proof. Not to mention people are showing proof of the actual dislike numbers before YouTube disabled the feature. A mere 2 days after the reveal, this was the ratio. So I challenge you, Deadly Steph, show some of the actual like to dislike ratios on the trailer, since my numbers are so off. The clock is ticking. After all of this nonsense, I decide to make a final tweet stating that if you are actually enjoying Saints Row 2022, more power to you. I have no problem with people that like this game, but it doesn't take a genius to understand that this was a disappointing Saints Row title, riddled with bugs, quite possibly the worst characters and story I have ever seen, and mediocre gameplay. The reviews aren't blind hate. There is actual criticism in most of them. Instead of fighting with the community on Twitter, Volition and Deep Silver should spend some more time going back to the drawing board and actually focus on making a great title. I don't think that's an unreasonable request. This is something we've been asking for since 2011. Anyways, there's no point in talking about Saints Row 2022 anymore. The game has already faded into irrelevancy. After that, I thought it was all done. This silly elementary school fight would be over with and we could all move on. Then I see Steph tweeting stuff like, "Guess what? I don't care," or "Fuck you." And here's the best one. Some people on here think that they are above being stood up to by a woman, it would seem. What? This is our fucking community manager? This is a grown adult screaming sexism after a Twitter fight that in no way, shape, or form mentions gender? I see this tweet here from a user, which I do not condone, but I mean, come on. This is the community manager tweeting out these things. The CM is supposed to represent the studio they work for. Your mistakes and controversies take the whole company down with you. Gamers were a mistake. In conclusion, Kev isn't Johnny Gat light. He's his own thing. Has way more backstory and personality. Sorry, Gat fans, I love him too, but he was good in moderation. You guys got a whole game of him and you hated it. We got a full game of it and we hated it? Is she forgetting the part where the game takes place in hell with a fucking musical involving Satan? Yeah, maybe that's why we hated the fucking Gat game. Also, Kevin has way more backstory than Johnny Gat? I have no words for this. I refuse to believe she's being genuine. Deadly Steph must be an elaborate troll trying to eradicate any remaining Saints Row fans for good. Wait a minute, I think we might be onto something here. The day of the Twitter fight, she said this on Discord, and I quote, "I view this as an exercise in shedding some of the toxic fans, and we can start anew, better and free of the shackles. And I know we really need to hammer home what Saints Row is about, as some people have it very twisted. If you look at them, they have all been pretty different, especially 2, 3, 4. It's a satire of the current times, and I guess a big gap in games will get people forgetting that." This is your community manager for Saints Row, everyone. Having meltdowns on Twitter, going on tangents about how the new characters are better than the old, and that we should just die mad because he's shirtless. Could you imagine if an old school fan said to her, "Die mad that Troy was one of the best characters in the franchise"? I can already see her tweet response now. It seems people are projecting their toxic masculinity on the Saints Row games that have clearly moved on from 2006. Just her saying that this is the best way to free the shackles of the old games is just so telling. It's quite obvious where she thinks the direction of Saints Row should be and her view on the older fans of the series. You might think this is only me that feels this strongly towards how shitty Deadly Steph has been acting for months now, but it's not. It's quite the contrary. There are multiple Reddit threads discussing her repulsive behavior. This is just insanity. A community manager is supposed to communicate with the fans, not go to war with them. Imagine being put in charge of a franchise franchise and not understanding what it is about. They're delusional if they think satire was the only thing that made the whole Saints Row formula work. They forgot the original roots. Good dialogue, good characters, and good stories. But what did they do? Put bad characters, bad dialogues, and bad stories. And their so-called satire is a collection of humorless dialogues that only a very sheltered person who is pretending to sound younger than they actually are, or a very young naive person would find funny and relatable. Feel bad for seeing the franchise coming to an end like this, but this is the only way that not only Volition but the other studios will finally realize that adult gamers are tired of watered down stories and companies not producing content for us anymore. It's like she's on a fucking crusade against the old fans. We are just the infidels and we have to die for our sins or something. Why does this new community manager and writer seem to have such a vendetta against the first two games? She seems really angry and rude overall. Why is this person in charge at all? That's a great question. Why is Deadly Steph still the community manager? I'm not saying fire this person, as I wouldn't wish that upon someone, but she needs to be removed from being the community manager ASAP. All she has done since her arrival of the job is create an even bigger divide in the community than there already was, and I didn't think that was possible after SR3 and 4. In fact, she went as far as to say that this behavior from the fans is terrorist behavior. To give context, she was referring to a very infamous member of the community named Godshand, who is very vocal about his love for Saints Row 1. I don't condone his extreme methods at all, but at the same time, you can't call this stuff terrorism. You really can't. This video is not intended for people to attack Deadly Steph in any way, shape, or form. I do not condone that. This video is to raise awareness on what's going on within the dying Saints Row community and to shed light on the fact that the current community manager clearly can't handle the weight of this job. The consistent incompetence towards the series is blatant as well. Take a look at this example. One user tweets that the Agents of Mayhem servers are still down on every platform. Steph responds with, "The servers were turned off a while ago for AOM. This doesn't affect co-op, but contracts are now unavailable. Agents of Mayhem doesn't even have a co-op mode." Like I said, we're all human and we all make mistakes, but what I cannot excuse is her constant demonizing of the critics of the reboot. And naturally, the OG fans are labeled as haters because the game hardly comes close to anything we've asked for. So obviously we're going to critique it. If you dislike the game, then you're a sexist homophobe who's stuck in 2006. And she has the nerve to talk about gatekeeping? Get real. Slowly but surely, more and more people are recognizing this and making videos addressing it too. I strongly urge those that feel similar as to all these people and myself to just simply ignore the Saints Row reboot from now on. Don't pay it any more mind and don't give Volition another dollar of your hard-earned money. They made it very clear that they don't want any old school fans in the community anymore, so let their releasing of the shackles and see how well that goes for them. Again, do not support this game or the community manager Deadly Steph.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that